Agency. It is February 20th, 2024, and the time is 2:30. And let us begin by having Ms. Baker. You're going to give us the run of show for this, the overview for this afternoon.
Good afternoon, Mayor, the City
Good
Commission. Gina Baker for the record, Project Manager for the Historic Northwest. If not all, but most of you, I'm sure most of you have seen the Styx Promenade, and it is with a little bit of pride and great pleasure that I bring to you this evening the final selection for the Styx Promenade. So for the listening audience, the Styx name came from a settlement in Palm Beach. The name was adopted for the project with the intent to recall the humble beginnings of what was once a thriving neighborhood in that area. Concept began back in 2017. The Styx is comprised of two buildings. One is a representation of shotgun-style homes that once stood on the site, which is depicted in the photo in the lower left of your screen. And the second building is a new interpretation of a shotgun-style building type. And all of the buildings are intended to be for commercial small businesses. There are 9 structures in the Styx Promenade. After a competitive process back in 2022, 6 of the structures were successfully awarded to 3 different local business owners. Camille's Flower and Gifts, they're currently in Northwood, Eaton Cakes, and A Better Way Home Care. A Better Way Home Care is now open for business, and there are 2 others under tenant improvement. The 2 properties that you're going to be considering today are lots 8 and 9 depicted here on the screen. Lot 8 is 2 buildings on the property. Each of them are approximately 600 square feet. The purchaser is expected to occupy at least one of the buildings on the lot. The property price point is $223,300. And there is a tenant improvement incentive in the amount of $44,000. As you all know, this is an excellent location. It's close to downtown and located directly across the street from the beautiful historic Northwest Park, or Heart and Soul Park, and hopefully the soon-to-open Sunset Lounge. Lot 9 is a single structure, and it is the original structure, one of the original structures on the site. We were required to actually restore that building, pick it up and move it over to Lot 9. That property is priced at $133,000, and it too comes with a $44,000 tenant improvement. And again, it is also located across from the historic Northwest Park. This is a picture of the existing buildings that's there. It's quite a beautiful turnout for both of those properties. And this is a look of from the promenade view, the new interpretation of the shotgun-style homes. And with that, I'll turn it over to Ms. Ansley Lacey. She's going to walk you through our outreach and communication efforts and also give you a run of show for your task this evening.
Thank you, Gina. Good afternoon, Commissioners and Mayor. As Gina said, I'm Ansley Lacey. I'm the marketing manager for the CRA, and we have an exciting day planned for you. Just to go over some of the outreach and communication efforts, if anything, we communicated this so much, and we had a lot of fun with our outreach events. So as you see, the notice of disposal was posted in September 14th. That was posted in the newspaper, but we did a lot of outreach on social media and direct emails, newsletters through the mayor's newsletter and the CRA's newsletter. We also had an open house event that had a huge turnout, so that was a great successful event where we did a presentation on the proposal process and some other events. We had a community meeting on November 2nd of 2023 where we had another presentation and opportunity for those that were interested. And of course, Winter in Paradise, we had a lot of folks come out for that event, and we had the doors open for people to come through and see those and get more information. Those proposals were due on the 14th of December, and from there we had a technical review committee review those on January 8th. And from that, now we are here today to select the final top two. To speak more on the technical review committee, we had the same review committee from our last disposition, which Gina mentioned with Eaton Cake, Better Way Home Care, and Camille's. So from that, we did have two changes where one committee member, Marlon White, he had retired, so we had Miss Pamela Stewart step on board. And then one, we had a conflict of interest with Dr. Alicia Wynn, so we added one of the Styx Promenade business owners, Mr. Craig Glover, step in to fill her spot. So those are listed there for you. The evaluation criteria that they had to go through, this was listed on our website since day one, and this was very heavily communicated to each of the business owners. This is what we were looking for, and this is what you're going to use to vote today. But they had to include the cover page, business plan, proposed use of property, and then of course their financial documents to make sure that they could purchase the buildings, and their business documents in case we needed some additional information like their tax returns. From that, we received 12 proposals. Our original goal was 4, so we exceeded this, so that was great news that we had a lot of interest in these properties. Those highlighted above are the ones that are here today: Rohy's Readery, Vegan Fine Foods, Tax on Track, and Serene Beauty Suite. Each business owner was able to select which property that they were interested in, and they selected one or the other. And Chris also has today our zoning letters, so if you need to see those, they are all approved from the zoning department for those properties. So we went ahead and did that for everyone. So the selection today, oh, sorry, yes?
No, I was just telling Commissioner, bless you.
Oh, I thought you said question.
I shouldn't have said that in the mic, I'm sorry.
So the top 4 from those proposals, the technical review committee brought those to you today. And so now we will have the board look through those proposals you've been given, and we'll have the final presentations. From there, each of you will have this form right in front of you, so that's where you're going to be putting your points. Number 1 is for the preferred selection for that lot, and then number 2 is for the alternate. Selection of the final business must be based on the selection criteria stated in the notice of disposition, and which we've had online at wpb.org/STIX-project. And then board members will consider the following information when applying the criteria. So you had the proposals in your binders, input from the technical review committee that was submitted, and then presentations today by the business owners. This is our run-up show, so we will get started at 2:40 with Rohy's Readery, and then we'll follow with Vegan Fine Foods. They'll have 15 minutes to present, and then we'll turn it over to Lot 9. And then from there, by 4 o'clock, we'll start with your board evaluation. You'll have plenty of time to deliberate amongst yourselves, and then we will put the points together, and hopefully we'll leave today knowing who's going in those structures.
Question.
Yes.
The presentation, that includes Q&A, and how much time for Q&A?
That is correct. So we have 10 minutes allotted for the presentation, some of which might not go over 10 minutes, and then we have 5 minutes allotted for questions.
Okay.
All right. So we will first get started with Rohy's Readery.
But before we start, let me ask a legal question. So we're sitting here as a selection committee. Does that mean I get to participate and vote, correct?
Yes, you do, Mayor.
Okay. Secondly, maybe this is for you or Mr. Rugg. If for whatever reason the first selection does not, our first choice doesn't work out, does it go automatically to the second choice, or do we have to start this process all over?
Mayor, I guess I have a follow-up question to your question. There are 2 being proposed for
Are you going to answer my question, then ask a
I'm
follow-up
going to
question?
try to.
Okay, that's
I
cool.
want to make sure I
That's cool.
understand first. So there's 2 being presented.
Right.
And your task is to rank number 1 and number 2. Are you saying that there's perhaps a
If for
circumstance
whatever
where you
reason,
wouldn't
the
want one
first
at all?
option doesn't work out, for whatever reason, can't get financing, it doesn't work out. Do we
Okay.
then automatically go to the second, or do we start this process all over again?
No, I don't, would not automatically have to go to the second, but rather you could look at the second and the others who were reviewed by the technical review committee and go from there.
All right, I mean, I hope we never get to that, but I just wanted to get an understanding. Commissioner Fox.
Thank you. Can you describe what would happen if we have a tie vote?
So in the event of a tie, we notified the proposers that we would rely on the criteria for, that was issued by the Technical Review Committee. But if, the board wanted to pursue something else, that could be discussed. But that's what was communicated to the proposers as a tiebreaker.
Commissioner Baduzzi, and then Commissioner President Warren.
So I know we just heard from our city attorney that said we'd be free to choose from one of the others potentially if the number one choice fell through, but the scoring sheet does say number 2 for alternate, and then it has an asterisk, but I don't know where the explanation for that asterisk
So
is.
the intent was, a 1 and 2 is that if you ranked them 1 and 2 because they were the top, that we would have a fallback, but that was just staff's recommendation. But if the board would like to review all of them, like the city attorney had said, then we can pursue that route.
Follow up, Mayor?
Yes.
I just think we probably should make that clear from the start, how we intend to handle it, because it does say alternate, which would lead me to believe if I was one of these applicants that I would be chosen if the first one were to fall through.
Well, I think that was the answer of the city attorney, is that it wasn't necessarily automatic. I don't know if you want to state that more clearly,
Right, you
Madam City
received-
Attorney, so everyone listening can hear it.
Certainly. We received several proposals. Part of the process that was outlined for the proposers was that there would be a technical review committee that would make recommendations to this body, but ultimately it's this body's piece of property, and they would have the ability to look at, if their number 1 fell through, who the appropriate number 2 could come from more process. You have additional proposals to review.
So we have that flexibility, and hopefully everyone in the audience understands that. President Warren?
It's my opinion that in the event of a tie, more time should be afforded to the presenters, because it's my opinion that the governing body should be the one that makes the decision, the final decision on any move like this. Although I can appreciate and respect all viewpoints of all of our committees, this body is the body that is responsible for the decision, the final decision. That's my opinion.
Thank you. My view is that we could probably work this out on this dais. We'll just have to arm wrestle or something like that, but we'll get to the bottom. Commissioner Ward?
So, and not to be nitpicky, but does that mean that we don't have to decide that before we start voting?
Well, I mean, we could decide now whether we want to defer to the technical committee's decision or whether we want to hammer it out up here. And that's not being not nitpicky, that's very essential to our discussion today. So my view is that we could work this out with further deliberation and break any tie. I don't know how everyone else feels. Do we want to take a vote on whether we break a tie or defer to the technical committee? I'll entertain a motion either way. I see uncertainty.
I'm in agreement. I think that we could probably come to a resolution here. I don't know that we need a vote on that, if there's consensus on that, or?
I'm looking for consensus.
That's what I think that the motion probably is. So the motion is that you're requesting is that in the event of a tie on either one of these votes for Lot 8 or Lot 9, we will deliberate amongst ourselves and then revote in order
We'll continue deliberating until the tie is broken.
until the tie is broken. One of us gives in. That's my motion. Second.
Yes, that's probably the way of putting it. Yes, one of us gives in.
Clarification?
Yes.
So if there's a tie and we go around and around trying to break the tie and it doesn't happen, will that mean that no one's been selected and then we'd have to determine some other selection process?
That's an alternative, but we will get it done. I promise you. I promise you, we will break the tie up here. But that's only if everyone is in consent. Do we agree with that approach? So I see 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, we will break the tie. And the people in the audience will watch this very painful process. Okay, any other questions or comments before we get started? Okay, thank you.
Thank you all. Up first, we have Rohis Reedery. And then once she starts, we'll start the clock at 15 minutes. You have 10 minutes to present and 5 minutes for questions.
Okay.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Before we get started, I want to take time to acknowledge the space and land we are on, in which the Reedery is on, ancestral Tequesta, Hagwa, Hobe, and Ais land. I spoke with Dr. Guzman, who is a professor at the University of Miami and co-coordinator of Native American and Global Indigenous Studies, to learn more about how I can become more inclusive, aware, and share. So today I dedicate this day to those who've come before me and allowed me to embrace this work with unapologetic truth, the ancestors and descendants from the historically marginalized communities such as Indigenous, Black, Latine, and immigrant communities who've been laying the groundwork for activism and courage. Today, my hope is that you will see that Rohis Reedery and Rohis Liberation Station is more than a business and nonprofit. We are a vibrant community hub where stories come to life, fostering connections, dialogue, and shared experiences. We are more than a place. We are intentional in every move we make so that every story has its space. So welcome to class. We read something, we learn something, we share it with the world. Here are some titles of books that are going to help convey exactly what we want to share with you. The power of children's books have impact on every age. So today we are going to learn about the history of Rohis Reedery, Little Legends, our current impact in the community, counting on community, why critical literacy is so important, the day you begin, what we see, you are a revolutionary, what we want to do and the impact, you are a revolutionary, and what will you be, and why invest in us, unearthing joy. Being seen and heard is so close to being loved that for the average person, the two are almost indistinguishable for the average person. What does it mean to feel empowered in your identity? What impact does it have on the way you show up for the community? What can belonging and empowerment look like when we use the pages of a book to ignite us, to lift us, and guide us all? Identity can be explored when engaging with text and can transform previous social, historical, and cultural norms. To feel seen when you read. I have had the honor and privilege of being surrounded by incredible women such as what you see here. My Annama, whom the store is named after and was a fierce advocate for children and adults, and my beautiful mother who is here, whom was an early childhood educator, who continued to advocate for me feeling empowered and sense of self when the world said otherwise. When literature did not present itself in that way in school, she had Indian comics at home for me and beautiful art pieces to reinforce my identity. When you know more about yourself and are given more chances to learn about the world around you through text, it drives a sense of value in you and beyond. And engaged readers who have identity-driven learning spend 500% more time staying engaged as readers over time. So, the impact of our critical literacy initiative thus far. We've been talking about issues around education for a very long time, things that have come recently to light. And we know that dismantling the practice of oppression in the classroom is imperative, changing the libraries and curriculum to honor all communities. And if you know and if you work in education, that there are many loops, barriers, and walls to getting the things that you want passed. Many statements are made, but yet change does not happen, ultimately leading to inauthenticity and distrust in the community. People may see a bookstore, but I see a place to cultivate conscious citizens of all ages and do right by our brilliant babies. Rohis Reedery and Rohis Liberation Station is an entry point to learning something that is different. Windows. or mirrors of learning, learning about yourself, perhaps even both. It creates opportunities for connecting and challenging viewpoints, addressing assumptions, and holding space for a more authentic view of our world, especially when bills are being passed that target the very essence of our humanity. We see people of all ages and backgrounds come to Rohi's Readery, engaging in critical literacy and healing the inner child. Communication, curiosity, storytelling, all naturally happening. These numbers right here tell the story of a community. What happens when we feel seen? What happens when we feel empowered? What it looks like when you have the first Holy event in downtown West Palm Beach and over 1,100 people show up for a 4-hour event for kids and adults. What it looks like when we're not just donating books, we're providing resources and opportunity for authentic engagement. What it looks like when people see the work we're doing and want it in their spaces too. Now, why is critical literacy so important? We lead and create great change through reading. In the narrative of learning, many people say, children are too young to read, but I say nay. From birth, children are beautiful and observing the world with fresh eyes every second. Holding a book becomes a power, a tool of empowerment. Staring at illustrations transforms into a journey of imagination, reading the pictures, as we say, and making up stories aligns with critical thinking. Reading is not just decoding words. It's unlocking a world of possibilities in the brilliance of a child's mind. At birth, babies look equally at faces of all races. At 3 months, they start to look at the faces of their caregivers more. By 2 years, they use race to reason about people's behaviors, and by 30 months, use race to choose playmates. By age 3, the brain is over 85% developed and is twice as active as an adult and stays that way for the first 10 years of their life. By kindergarten, children of the same racial attitudes that they have growing up in their household and what they see around them, they start to associate with those things. But what can we do when children are noticing and observing all the time? We want to cultivate their curiosity. They may not be able to verbalize in the way that we imagine. Adults often worry that talking about identity will encourage biases, but the opposite is true because we know that silence reinforces preconceived biases and ideas. Literature can play a powerful role in helping children of all ages develop understanding and empathy, asking questions to cultivate curiosity, and ultimately advocating in powerful ways. Traditional education, in much of the time, introduces reading at age 5, but not at Rohi's Readery and Rohi's Liberation Station. We begin to reinforce and acknowledge habits of great reading starting from newborn, and with a new program that we have in mind called Little Revolutionaries for our early childhood programming. Exposure to diverse texts from birth creates a natural yet necessary and formal process to the space. And then there's choice. When we have a space that involves choice for our children, it's a chief factor in critical thinking and motivation. Students rarely feel like they have control in school, and now with books being taken out. But this gives opportunity for children and adults to have charge of what they're reading and prompting their need to read naturally. Students need ownership in what they are reading to cultivate their curiosity and identity, and that is exactly what we are doing at a young age at Rohi's Readery. So, what do we see in our community? We see revolutionaries. In the heartbeat of the Northwest District of Palm Beach County, the strength of the Black community and history resonates. Dr. Thomas Leroy Jefferson, Joseph Wiley Jenkins, Dr. Alice Mickens and her daughter Dr. Alice Moore and husband Haley Mickens, Mamie Frederick and Etta Shuford. I am grateful for the work they have done in the community that resides there now. I have loved connecting with incredible business owners such as Camille's Flowers and Gifts on ways to build and collaborate critical literacy through authentic experiences. But I also know the educational landscape and the reality of the literacy rates of local schools nearby, the books that are being taken that reflect the children of our community, and the implication of lower literacy rates with the lack of accessibility to spaces that should otherwise be all around. It is great work being done by the local community, and I know that, the grassroots work. My hope is to leverage my experience coupled with the gifts of the community to facilitate a space that is meant as a place of accessibility, joy, truth, and collaboration. We know that critical literacy at all ages is imperative for building strong communities, to be able to transform entire communities. Simultaneously promoting literacy and is the cornerstone for personal growth and community development. The ability to read, write, and comprehend information not only empowers individuals, but equips them effectively to society, bridging the gap between aspiration and achievement at any age. So what is it that we want to do? We want the space. The two-building space. Room 1 would serve as an educational learning hub, the nonprofit Rohi's Liberation Station, to continue hosting monthly free programs, which we do already, but also involving a new early childhood educational program around social justice. We also want to have more internship programming and then our bookmobile. The for-profit space would continue to be the bookstore and accessible for all, speaking engagements, and hosting it as spaces for larger organizations and companies to come and visit. What is the collective impact? What will you be for our community? All of these things
Ms.
we know.
Kumar?
Yes,
We have to stop for questions.
okay.
Let me start with a question, and this goes to your business plan. I don't have a page number here, so you were very specific about financial projections, property acquisition, renovation, 240,000, furnishing equipment, 30,000, on and on and on. As well as with operational costs, you have numbers for staff salaries, et cetera. Then we get into revenues, or what you call revenue streams, and there are no numbers attached. You mentioned donations and grants, book sales, merchandise, space rental. You've been in business for 2.5 years.
Yes.
You don't have any historical numbers that could lead to projections, whether it comes to book sales, what revenues you could generate from space rental, or even what donations you can attribute. It left me scratching my head as to how this is going to work.
Right. So one of the biggest things for Rohi's Readery has been finding funding as a small business owner. And so much of the revenue has been coming through education consulting, through the sales of books, and then through tips from the bookstore. What we have found, though, is that many organizations that we partner with, like the Cultural Council, Community Foundation, certain spaces, are saying, we want to fund you, we want to support the work that you are doing, but you are a for-profit space. Now, there's a big thing for me, though, in being a for-profit business and having generational value, and also being able to be a small business owner. That is something that I hold of importance on a personal and professional level. But the nonprofit space is where people are wanting to fund. So all of our work, we serve as a community hub for our free educational programming. The nonprofit money, the funding through that, will help support those initiatives so that we can also continue the bookstore as well. So I do have those numbers. I can provide them for you as to what it has looked like for educational consulting, for rental of space, for parties and private events, and also what it's looked like for our revenue from book sales. But the goal is that we are also able to have a nonprofit to build sustainability, because our community deserves to have spaces that are for them. And I hold 1,000,000% by that. I know that bookstores, transparently, and I said this during the technical review meeting, bookstores do not, they're not places, unless you're a Barnes & Noble, of thriving. But what I have also found is that the community health is just as important, if not more important, in our children and adults seeing themselves in spaces.
All right, I have follow-up, but I know we're running out of time, so let's just go down the list. President Warren, I don't know how we're going to do this in 5 minutes.
Thank you. I'll speak quickly. I admire what you're doing. I know that this is very difficult, and having this type of organization is very important in our community, but my challenge is the same as the mayor. As I look through the documents, and I looked through them multiple times, I was looking for something that showed your ability to repay. And even when I looked at your letter from your lender, potential lender, there was still a variance there. There was a gap in the purchase price, the loan amount, and I didn't see anywhere where it was explained how you would overcome that gap. Can you speak to that any further?
Yes, so I spoke a little bit about this at the review meeting, but through personal savings, which has also been what I've been using. Personal savings and equity in another property is what I would be using as the difference in what you were seeing from the loan approval and then the down payment, if chosen. So that is one thing. And then another thing is because Rohi's Liberation Station is also now seen as, we are now, I'm sorry, I'm losing my words. We received our letter of confirmation. We are hosting a fundraiser for a potential permanent space. And so that's happening on March 27th as well within the community. So there are ways in which I am being very proactive. I've also just applied for 3 different grants around educational responsibility and programming. And so that is my real goal. And what I will say is that while you might not
Okay.
see the numbers
I'm sorry,
here.
time is up. Okay. That was tough. I know, board members, I know you probably have questions. We have to figure out how to do this. Okay.
I just wanted to ask a question.
No,
Will there
no,
be
no,
opportunity
no,
for
because
y'all-
we give you more time, we gotta give everybody else some more time, so.
Up next, we have Stephen Smith with Vegan Fine Foods. You have 10 minutes to present, 5 minutes for
Okay, hello everyone. First thing I'd like to say, it's an honor to be here and present before the board. And my name is Stephen Smith. I am co-founder and general manager of Vegan Fine Foods, and my partner is here in the audience. His name is Joseph Williams. And again, we are excited to be here and honored to have this opportunity. So the theme of my presentation today is Vegan Fine Foods, a healthy choice for the Styx Promenade. And these are the 7 topics that I'm going to cover in my presentation. So we'll give you a little background about Vegan Fine Foods. We'll look at some market growth trends in terms of the growth of the plant-based food market. We'll talk about our products, our services, and the benefits it will provide to the community. We'll talk about our plans for community engagement, how we're going to make our customers happy, because of course that's the foundation of any successful business, our projected social impact, and call to action. So Vegan Fine Foods is an all-vegan retail food business that was founded in 2017. We opened our first store in 2018 in downtown Fort Lauderdale. So we are all vegan, but not just for vegans. So in fact, 75% of our customers were not vegan. They did not identify as vegan. They probably identified as more flexitarian. But this way of eating is becoming more common, more popular, and people who aren't vegan still enjoy to eat that way sometimes. So we have a wide potential customer base. We had to close Vegan Fine Foods in Fort Lauderdale in 2021 because of the pandemic, because we were right in the downtown area of Fort Lauderdale. And of course, when we didn't have any people working in the offices and everything that was happening around COVID, we had to close the business then. So if chosen to be a part of the Styx Promenade, this will be our grand reopening. And we look forward to being a sustainable anchor by providing healthy food options and healthy activities for the community. So our mission is to make plant-based living achievable for everyone, okay? We supply ethically sourced products for consumers seeking healthy lifestyles. So health and wellness is what we're all about, and that's really, again, a big part of the theme of my presentation today. Now, as far as our stores build community and promote wellness through first-class shopping, dining, social, and educational experiences. And we believe that business can drive community progress and empower transformation, positive transformation. So we want to be at the forefront of that. The other thing that's a big part of our mission is we want to address the issue of food deserts that we see throughout poor communities in our area. So there are communities where folks don't have access to fresh produce and healthy food choices. So Vegan Fine Foods, one of the main parts of what we're trying to accomplish is to address those issues, primarily in poor and Black and minority communities. So our value proposition as a business, and this is how we separate ourselves from our competitors. So a superior customer service experience is our first priority, and we have a reputation for providing that. Also, high-quality products. So we carefully curate the products that we offer in our store, and I'll go into that in a little more detail in a second. A pleasant dining experience, and also a hip store design. And I think the buildings in the Styx Promenade are real conducive, very aligned to having a hip store design. So these are the 4 things that really separate us and form the foundation of our business model. The leadership team. So again, I am co-founder and general manager of what will be Vegan Fine Foods West Palm Beach. And Joseph Williams, who's here in the audience, he's also co-founder and will serve as president of Vegan Fine Foods West Palm Beach. We both have an extensive amount of experience. Mr. Williams has been, a successful entrepreneur with a very successful business for decades, for over 25 years. And myself, I'm also an entrepreneur, and I've also worked, in the private sector and also in the academic sector. So we bring a wealth of experience that we will use to ensure that this is a successful business for the community. And the other thing I want to just say, too, is both Mr. Williams and I are from communities very similar to the historic Northwest District. So we understand the communities, and we are committed to being a part of economic development and social development of the community, including providing opportunities for jobs, job creation, and so on. Our vision for the Styx Promenade. Well, the 2 buildings, Building A, we envision as being our cafe. And you can see the name there's Vegan Fine Cafe. And that will be an area where customers can come, they'll order their food, drinks, food, and I'll go into sort of some of the items that we're going to offer, and that will be the Building A. And Building B will be the retail part of the business, and that's where we'll offer, the retail products, which I'll talk about in a second. But before I do that, I just want to go quickly just to look at some growth trends in the plant-based food market. So you can see the plant-based food market continues to grow. So it's becoming more common. And again, this is really about health. People want to be healthy. They want to eat clean food, not processed foods, or at least reduce the amount of processed foods that they eat. So we see this as a movement, actually a global movement, here in the United States and in other parts of the world. So we're right in the middle of that. You can see between 2019 and 2020, the market grew almost 30%, 27.9%. And then the pandemic hit in 2020 and growth slowed, but it still growed. And if you look at what the market size was in 2022, it was over $8 billion. And I project that now that we're finally getting past the pandemic, we're going to see that growth accelerate again. And in 2022, the household penetration for plant-based foods was 60%. Now, again, I've been a vegan for 27, 28 years, all right? And I can remember back in the early days, not a lot of people even knew what that word meant. But today, in our time today, everybody really understands that, and people are very, very receptive to it. So 60% household penetration rate is very high. And then the repeat rate, meaning that these folks have gone back and purchased more plant-based products, is at 80%. And we see those numbers improving as well going forward. Now, the fastest growing group of vegans in the United States are African Americans. So these are the results of a study done by the BBC. And according to the BBC, we see veganism as a phenomenon more apparent in Black and indigenous communities. And roughly 8%, or 1 in 12, of Black Americans identify as vegan or vegetarian. So this is something that is really getting traction in the Black community and in communities around, poor minority communities. And we think this is a real good fit for the demographics that we see in the historic Northwest District, and even how those demographics are changing as the area continues to develop. Now, our products. So these are the products that we will be offering in our business. First, we'll have a section for grocery products, so plant-based items, in most of the main grocery categories. And again, the difference will be none of these items will include any animal products or byproducts or dairy. So they're totally clean and very low, if any at all, preservatives. We'll also offer produce, fresh produce. We have a new line of prepared meals. This is an example of it that we just launched. And this is for people who are on the go. And this type of product is really becoming more and more popular. For people, a lot of the young professionals that we see in the area, they don't have time to cook every night. They have tight schedules. They work out. They come, and we're going to have a wide range of options available for our customers. In our cafe, we're going to have a nice, very concise but nice cafe menu that will include juices, smoothies, and even acai bowls. Acai bowls were one of our most popular items when we were open in Fort Lauderdale. So, services that we're going to offer and the benefits these services will provide. So we have something for everyone. So you can see the different groups here. For kids and teens, we plan on having a lot of interactional educational events focused primarily on nutrition because it starts at a young age. If we start, I know when I was a child, candy, snacks, anything but veggies. I mean, the last thing that I remember wanting to eat as a child were vegetables and really didn't know anything about nutrition. But I think it's different now. And there's a lot more information out there as far as how our diet sort of affects
Mr.
us,
Smith?
even as children.
Mr. Smith, we have
Yep.
to stop for questions.
Okay.
Okay, we'll go down the road. We'll start with you, Commissioner Lambert, and then work our way down, hopefully.
Thank you. You appreciate the presentation. You mentioned that you closed a store in Fort Lauderdale. Can you talk a little bit more about the specifics of why that closed?
Yeah, so the first year in business, we did over $1.2 million in sales. And we were growing, very similar to that chart that you saw. Our business was growing, so year over year, our first 2 years, we had significant growth. And then the pandemic hit, and we had to close for 3 months. And what we did during that period was we tried to sort of readjust the store because of all the distancing and the social distancing as a result of COVID. And we reopened. But when we closed, we weren't really a delivery business. We were a retail store, community-based. We had lots of events and so on. So we really weren't set up for delivery. But we reopened and we tried to start our delivery service, but it just wasn't enough to cover our expenses. We had a very high overhead. And so we stayed open. We reopened in April 2020, because the shutdown was in February. We reopened in April, and we stayed open until June 2021. And we lost about 80% of our customers because the biggest part of our customer base were people that were working downtown and living downtown. And it just went down to almost zero. So we just made a business decision that we just had to close that location. We had about 5,000 square feet, so it was a very big location.
Thank you.
Commissioner Ward?
Thank you. I thought I saw in your presentation somewhere, because you're up here, and I know you mentioned that District Safety Products is also a part of this venture, but who is actually going to be running the day-to-day? Is it Vegan Fine Foods, or is it District Safety Products?
So it's Vegan Fine Foods West Palm Beach, so that's going to be the entity. And the entity is going to be primarily owned by District Safety Products. But we're creating an entity, Vegan Fine Foods West Palm Beach to run this location. I will be the general manager running the day-to-day operations.
Okay.
Commissioner Fox?
Thank you so much. I wanted to ask you about your hours and then also about the designated shopping hours for seniors.
Yeah, so what we plan to do, and again, we're going to adjust as we go forward, but I'd say we'd open at 8 in the morning and probably open at least until 8 in the evening, and probably towards the weekends, Friday, Saturday, definitely Friday, Saturday, later. 10 or 11. Now, I think once the community really gets going and you have, the Sunset Lounge opens and that type of thing, we'll adjust our hours accordingly. As far as designated hours for seniors, absolutely. What I see in most of the businesses that do that, it's usually early morning. And so we will try to adopt something like that. You know, sometimes I know, I've seen it at Publix where they may have hours for seniors starting at 7, and they open for the general public at 8. So we would do something along those lines. But again, we'll base it on the feedback we get from our customers.
Commissioner Baduzzi?
Thank you. Are you aware of any similar businesses that do what you're proposing to do here? And if not, how will you fill that void?
Yeah, so no, there are vegan restaurants, but we are more than just a restaurant. We are an all-vegan retail and grocery store, and there are none of those in this area. So I say the closest competitors we have, yeah, I definitely understand sort of the market and our competitors. So of course you have Whole Foods, but they're not all plant-based, they're not all vegan. They have a lot of these products, and I think a lot of these folks that buy plant-based products go to like Whole Foods and Sprouts, which we have one in the area, and so on. But there is no direct competitor as far as being an all-vegan retail store and cafe. So we're unique in that regard. In fact, just one more little note, when we opened our store in Fort Lauderdale, which was about 5,000 square feet, we were the first all-vegan market of that size in the United States.
Okay, you keep mentioning vegan fine foods. What is the relationship between vegan fine foods and District Safety Products, Inc., and who is actually purchasing this building?
So District Safety Products will be purchasing this business, and the entity Vegan Fine Foods West Palm Beach will be owned by District Safety Products.
Wholly owned?
Yes.
Okay. You want to try in the next 20 seconds?
Do you plan to make offerings for people that have social economic challenges in the community, recognizing
Absolutely.
that?
Sorry, yeah, but yes.
Thank you.
Okay, don't think we can get another question in 2 seconds, so. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Up next, we have Tax on Track with Keisha. You have 15 minutes to present, 10 for presentation, 5 for questions.
Okay. Hello, guys. How are you guys doing? I'm nervous. Okay, so my name is Keisha, and I am the owner of Tax on Track. I have started doing taxes since 2016. After the second season of doing taxes, I was working under at another tax office. After 2 seasons, my first season was really successful. The second season, I decided to, that's how I started Tax on Track. When I started Tax on Track, that was in 2018. I had a location in Miramar. In 2020 of March, I decided to close the location, my office, because it was COVID and we had no traffic. I didn't mind doing that anyways because most of I will say 90% of my clients did not come in the office anyways. And during that time, I was starting out a YouTube channel, and my YouTube channel literally took off. And I never decided to get a location because, you know, all my traffic kind of came from social media, to be honest. So now today we have over 25 agents that work under me, and it has all come from my social media platform. So I do tax preparation, bookkeeping, and I'm also a content creator. I'm interested in Lot 9, so that location will be to do taxes during tax season, and after tax season, host different events for the community, such as, you know, people needing to know what to do with their tax money, or people needing to know how to use their money. I mean, that's the best way to put it. But I will have these different type of events and webinars for the neighborhood. Okay, so the space, The office space and client hub will be, we will have a receptionist area. It will be an area for people to get their taxes done. We will also have a backspace with the, for the documents, and off-season, we will kind of change, because it's a 600 square foot space, it's not gonna be a lot, it's not gonna be partitions besides the back door, well, not the back door, but doing like drywalls for the printer and all the stuff back there. And off-season, I'll host classes. The classes, again, will be for people that's interested in learning how to do taxes. Another thing that I really do with my content creation is I help people start their own tax business. So that will be something that I will be pushing much more, because now I have a location where people that's in South Florida could come, and people that's not even from here, they can still come to the space, the community, to learn how to start their own tax business. So yes, this is kind of what I already talked about, the seminars, and the finance workshops and team gathering. I will also be hiring, you know, individuals that's in the community already, people that want to kind of make extra money. I would also be, for kids that's high school kids that wants to get, you know, kind of learn under someone that's been an entrepreneur for quite some time. They can get credits from us as well. During the holidays, we will do Thanksgiving drives, tour drives for, you know, the community as well. And that's it. This is pretty much my presentation.
Okay, thank you. We will have time for Q&A, and we'll go in the opposite direction this time to give other commissioners on this side some more. So Commissioner Baduzzi, if you want to start the question.
Sure. So I think I read somewhere that you have CPAs and enrolled agents that will be staffing.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
But the hiring part, because I kind of talked about the hiring part, it will be hiring, like, you know, the local residents, people that want to make extra money. They could be tax preparers that, you know, they can be part-time, they could be full-time for the office.
And you'll do the training?
Yes, I will be doing the training. Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Commissioner Fox.
Thank you so much. You mentioned that, I know this was during COVID, I believe you said 90% of your clients didn't come in anyway because you were just dealing with them online, so you closed the business. I'm curious if that is, it's still mostly an online business, and I guess what are your hours going to be if it is in-person business?
So yes, right now I am still I am 100% online. I still have over 25 people working with me as well, but everybody is working from home. If I'm the chosen one for Lot 9, it will be hours from 10 a.m. up until 7 p.m. And on Sundays will be closed. On Fridays and Saturdays, that's usually when I had an office, people would come in on a later time after work. So that would be up until like 8, 9 o'clock.
We'll go Commissioner Ward.
Thank you. Given your comments on your online presence, which was awesome, and the fact that you've managed to get that many agents underneath you is phenomenal. Were you looking at other spaces within West Palm Beach, or did you notice this and were like, hey, look, I could actually move into a brick and mortar?
Yes, I was looking at the Lot 8, but not other, nowhere else in West Palm Beach, no.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Commissioner Lambert.
Thank you for the presentation. What do you see as the biggest benefit to your business for this location?
Helping people make money, honestly. It's a community where some people feel like they need a certain degree or they need to go to school. In this business, all you really need is just the right training, and it could really help you with your family.
Thank you.
President Warren.
Thank you. I appreciate your approach to creating jobs and training. I have a similar question, though, about the funding.
Yes.
And where you stated that where you have a letter that shows a variance in what the purchase price of the property is.
Yes. The $30,000 is I will have cash to put to put down. So the loan is for 103.
Because it's not reflected in the documents that you have here to show your proof of funding.
I could provide proof if needed. Because that was a question, January 8th, they asked if it was asked for, will I be able to provide it? I said yes.
All right, how much time do you anticipate needing from the time you close to actually starting the business?
Well, I'm already, running the business, so I will be open for next tax season. I would actually do my grand opening around the holidays just to get, the foot traffic and people to know about the community, to know about the business. So grand opening around November. By December is training, January for tax season.
All right, now we'll go to the other side. We'll start with Commissioner Ward,
No further questions?
Commissioner Lambert.
Can you talk a little bit about the training and recruitment process of the future employees that you hope to have there from the
Yes.
local community?
Yes, so it will start off by me doing different type of promotions online. I will use SEO to get people that's in the area to see the advertisements, and from there I would use free sites like Eventbrite. I will also do Indeed. I can even use Craigslist, like basically different websites to let people know that I'm hiring and I'm doing free trainings. We will do signs around the community so people know about the training, and this is gonna get a lot of people in for sure.
Thank you.
I feel like I didn't answer all the questions. The next question was about so that's what I talked about, was getting people in. Then the training will just be like a 2-day seminar where I talk about business taxes, and then the next day will be about personal taxes, answer the questions that they have. And from there, once I do the training with them, if they're interested to do taxes at the location, I will go ahead and just let them know that they have the opportunity to work there.
Okay, Commissioner Fox.
Thank you. When you're talking about hosting these classes off-season, I understand right now you're probably really busy with taxes this time of year, but is there additional foot traffic that you imagine coming in the off-season? I mean, you mentioned a lot of your clients are working with you online, so I'm just curious if you anticipate having foot traffic and people actually coming in for your services other than the seminars.
No, bookkeeping. But that's if me just promoting it a little more, and foot traffic will come in. And the events that I will have after tax season is more so for the residents that's interested in learning how to do taxes or start their tax business.
Commissioner Peduzzi.
No further questions.
Are you going to be commuting from Miami to operate this facility?
Oh, no, now I live in Palm Beach,
In the town of Palm Beach?
the town of Lake Worth.
Oh,
But
okay,
I'm in Palm
okay.
Beach, yeah.
I was going to say, Texas is good. Okay, we'll make one more round. President Warren,
I don't have any further questions.
Commissioner Fox, Commissioner Lambert.
Thank you. I do just want to clarify. Okay, so you're going to be doing taxes during tax season, and then during the off-season, it sounds like almost nonprofit type work. Is it like educational seminars? Do you charge for these?
So with my online presence, I do webinars. They're not free, and that's what I will do. And that's not free, and that is, I'll have over 100, 200 people in my classes,
Okay.
online.
And if I could follow up, Mayor?
Yes.
Okay, so, and when you were describing the training that you do, I thought that was interesting, and so that I would think you would go through the interview process and then train the people you hire, but you actually do it not backwards, but a different order. And so you train people so that they have the knowledge and information, and then you talk to them about whether or not you will hire them or they'll use that information on their own?
Yep.
So-
They have the opportunity, like, because some people, they'll look, I feel like once you kind of go through the process of learning how to do taxes and you're actually doing taxes, people change their mind real quick. So I give them the opportunity to, let's do training first, and then from there, if you want to work, I have a job for you.
And are they 1099 employees or
Yes,
W-2?
they are. They're 1099 agencies.
Commissioner Ward?
And to follow up on Commissioner Lambert's question, I would think the bookkeeping aspect is year-round anyways, and so you'd probably, if you said bookkeeping as well, and
Yes.
So that's year-round, I mean, that's,
Yeah, that's
businesses
year-round.
need that.
Mhm.
Okay.
But I also have, for bookkeeping, right now, again, all my business is online, so a lot of my bookkeeping customers is all online. But that's something that I can promote to get foot traffic.
I'm looking at your numbers. You show in your financial plan 141,000 income for 2022. But I'm looking at the tax return and I only see 96,000. This is your individual tax return, only 96,000. So what is the discrepancy between the 141,000 and the 96?
Expenses,
Excuse me?
expenses.
No, I'm just looking at income. Your income shown on 2022 tax return is 96,000. The income that you show for, on your forecast, but it's not a forecast, it should be historical, is 141,000, just the income number. So how do we explain the difference between 141,000 and 96,000?
Mine's was 96, it wasn't 141. So you probably looking at my Canva template.
I'm looking at page 9 of your financial plan. So what is the difference between your 96,000 and your financial plan for 2022 says 141,000?
So it's a glitch because you're probably looking at my Canva and.
Canva.
Well, that's what I did my business plan, but it's 96, it's not 141.
Okay. Not sure that ain't, okay. One more round. Anybody else have any questions? Okay, thank you very much.
All right, up next is our second presentation for Lot 9. Serene Beauty Suite, you can step up. You have 10 minutes to present and 5 minutes for questions.
Good afternoon, Mayor, Commissioners, everyone on board. Good afternoon. I'm Yannick,
And I am Kimberly.
and we are the owner of Serene Beauty Suite. So today we are here, thank you guys for the opportunity to just have us coming in front of you guys, and let you guys know how we can impact the community and give back to the community. So I have been in business for 17 years. Been a hairstylist for over 20 years.
Me longer.
Yeah, she's over 30, probably about 30 years.
Yeah.
Oh, she looks so good. So what I would like to say is Serene Beauty Suite is more than just doing hair. We service clients for as young as 6 and as old as 89 years old. I would say that, like I said, it's more than doing hair. We are your therapist. We are your big sister. We are your friend.
Whatever you need at the time when you're getting your hair done.
Yes, we really are, more than literally, physically doing hair. We build a lot of relationship with our clients. We've serviced our clients most of our clients, I can say we've serviced them for over 15 years. Our retention level is very high. How we can impact the community and how I plan on impacting the community is by offering training and that is what we do actually. I want to say most of our young hires that we have, they are young adults that are just coming out of beauty school that has no experience and, wanting to learn more. When you go to beauty school, you are taught the basic and the foundation of hair care or chemicals or whatever, but we take it to another level where we take the time to teach you, how to take it to the next level with advance. So we put a lot into our young adults. We teach in our community, a lot of young adults, they do hair at home, whether braided, extensions, and what we're trying to teach is you don't have to do that. We are professionals, we build income from doing hair. We've been doing hair for so long, it has provided us a lifestyle, it provides us an income. And this is a way for us in the future, if you want to buy a house, it's on paper. It's not, you're not doing it from home. You're doing it, as a profession. And you're filing your taxes, you're doing things the right way. So that is what we encourage our young adults to do. So, that's one aspect. Oh, click. Oh, I'm way ahead of time. All right, here first. I don't know, I might have went further than where I was supposed. I'm a little nervous, but we also teach a lot about hair care. Teaching our young girls, not only our young girls, but your hair is your glory. With healthy hair is a lifestyle. How to take care of yourselves, how to make your hair be presentable. Everywhere you go. Did. I think I spoke about local business opportunity. So where? Okay. So Kim and I, we would love to pour into the community to see how we can offer young girls, career. You have to go to school, encourage them to you have to go to beauty school, obviously, to work with us. You need a license, but encourage them to go to school, get your license, and we'll hire them, no doubt, because we will, as I said, we will train them. So, teaching them that, you don't have to braid from home. You don't have to do this from home. You can work with us and we'll provide, we'll be more than happy to provide the job. Or, we have the traffic flow, so we won't have to worry about as far as paying them. As far, the more you train, the more, we can have you do more stuff.
Beauty Suite is the future expander.
Oh, sorry, but.
So the expansion, us going into this space would allow us to train. It will allow us to bring in more students, to train them and to get them to work with us. And like she was saying before, we would be able to train these students that actually have their license, and they can come in and actually work with the different people from the community, as well as our clients that we already have. And then, what is this, expansions? It will allow us to work with the other businesses as well in that area. And the one thing I do know with the food, we will keep everybody there. To what's his name? Greg, if he's cooking and baking cupcakes and everything, they will buy.
And that is true. Our first location, I just want to tell you, first location, we're on Dixie. That was the first salon we opened, and we outgrew that space. But in that small plaza, there were two other restaurants. I think it was Montezuma and the pizza place. Mm-hmm. And I'm telling you, they were so sad when we left because we brought so much traffic and businesses to those, I don't know if you guys ever been to a salon. It's a few hours, so they get,
that you're there. So you probably get breakfast, lunch, dinner, snacks, whatever you need. So marketing, you can do that part.
Okay. Marketing. Most of our clients, are from word of mouth. We get a lot of referrals from word of mouth. And we also advertise on Google. If you Google Black Salon in the area, Serene Beauty Suite will appear first. We are first on the list, and that's just, thanks to Nisha. This is our salon coordinator. She set us up very well. And Instagram and Facebook. Okay, there's one other thing that I really need to touch on so you guys can understand, like giving back to the community. In October, we always make sure that we do, a breast
cancer awareness. We try to give back to the community, even where we are now. We are off of Palm Beach Lakes, and we do cancer awareness, we do toy drives, we do back to school, and we try to, you know, bring that all, even wherever we are. We also have
A bread pantry?
outreach program where we feed the homeless, we give, so it's kind of connected, where that would be perfect for this location, sharing and caring for each other. That's the plan that we have. Please forgive us, we're very nervous, we do hair, we can talk to you better on a one-to-one base, but this is very intimidating, but we're gonna get through it. We appreciate you all giving us this time, and we have a lot of, if you have questions, we can answer them. We're just a little flustered.
All right, that's all right, thank you. We'll start with you, President Warren.
I believe beauty salons do offer a lot of walk-up traffic. As I look through your documents, I don't see your letter of credit where you've been approved by a lending institution.
So because of our taxes we're a little delayed with our taxes, we are in the process of being approved, and we are working on that now.
So that's why there's one tax return here? You only have one tax return here as well,
What year are you looking at, if you don't mind?
2021.
Okay, so we just met with her on Monday, and she's doing 2021 and 2023 for us right now as we speak. When I spoke to the lady from the bank, she needed those before we can proceed. So we are working on that. As soon as she finishes with it, we'll be able to give you.
We'll be approved. We will.
Commissioner Lambert.
Thank you so much. You did a fine job on the presentation. Thank you. You mentioned, and I know exactly where you're talking about, that you were located on South Dixie and then you moved to Palm Beach Lakes. Can you talk a little bit about why you moved?
That space, when we started that salon, it was, I don't even know what, less than five, it was it's 500 square feet.
It was smaller than the space
We
we're
outgrew the
looking
space
for.
because we never had parking space for our clients. Our clients' cars were getting towed because they were parked illegally, so we had no choice. We had to move to a bigger space, so we outgrew the space.
So then we moved to Congress, and that was a bigger space.
And we outgrew that.
And we outgrew that space. So where we are now in Palm Beach Lakes,
It's much better.
It's much better.
How does this size compare to where you're at now?
The size on Congress?
No, this one that you're, lot 9.
Oh, this lot,
It's smaller, it's small, but it's bigger than what we had. So this is good.
it's actually, lot 9 right now is about the same size as where we are right
Right
where
now.
we are right now.
Thank you.
Commissioner Ward.
That was actually going to be my question, so I'll pass.
Okay. Commissioner Peduzzi.
That was going to be my question also, but I'll ask another one. So you're in Palm Beach Lakes now. Do you, and I saw something about you potentially in wanting to expand your services, but are you going to be offering the same services that you're currently offering on Palm Beach Lakes and at this new location if you're selected?
Yes, and more. Our ultimate goal, honestly, is to be a training salon.
Which will allow for us to do the different services, because right now, we don't do all of the service that we can provide. So right now, the way we do things, we have braiders on call. We have other extensions, they're on call.
Specialists for extensions.
Yeah, it's specialists for every little thing. So whatever is needed, we would be able to provide it, and we have someone there to do it.
We have people that are always constantly calling us, looking for jobs. So as far as job offers, I'm sure that we'll be able to, pour back into the community. Where I live is not far from 7th Street. I bought a house about 17 years ago off of 22nd Street on Tamarind, so I'm very familiar with the community. So I used to have these young girls that are down the street from me. They're always asking me, they kind of like, you're young. I was 26 at the time, you're young, they kind of like, we look up to you because we're not You don't see that very often. You know, my dad didn't want me to move there, but I'm like, no, I'm gonna live there, because, you know, it's something different. So I am willing to support those that they didn't want to go to school at the time, and I'm like, the only way I can hire you at the salon is if you go to school. So I am willing to, you know, let these young girls understand that this is, you know, you too can do it. This is, it's 20 years, and we've sustained our income and taken care of our family, travel, do all, you know, you can also achieve that as well. And I'm willing to stand on that and, you know, pour back into the community and let these young girls know that, listen, you don't have to. That's my biggest thing. You know, a lot of us do here at home. We don't want to continue being kitchen beauticians. We want to be professionals. So,
And it's not just for young girls. We're also for guys and for whoever is, you know, want the training and want to work. We'll provide the space for them.
Commissioner Fox.
Thank you so much. Well, it sounds like you have a lot of foot traffic that comes into your establishment. Can you talk about what your hours will be if you move into this location?
So our hours would be 9:30, and when I say 9:30, that's the beginning of the schedule. So the appointments would start from 9:30 to 6, depending on what the service is. So it's from 9 to 6 you are booking an appointment. Now, we may be there till 10:30, 11 o'clock. It just
because
depends
that is when you
on
start
the
service.
service
Yes.
that they're having done.
And I just want to say, I know we're closed Sundays and Mondays because
Right.
that is standard in the beauty industry, and we're open. So it's Tuesday through Friday, 9:30 to 6, and on Saturdays, 8 to 2, because we like to go home early, because I have, you know, little ones and would like to do stuff. So we tend to go home. We tend to try to leave early on Saturdays, just so we can still have a work-life balance. So,
Okay, thank you. I did have a question, but I can't get it asked in
Okay.
25 seconds. So I
No,
feel
oh,
somewhat
okay.
jilted and cheated, but that's okay.
What did he say?
Thank you very much for your presentation.
thank
Thank
you.
you.
Hope you guys
Thank you.
consider us.
Okay.
Thank you all for your presentations, taking the time to do your proposals and these presentations. I know it's nerve-wracking standing up here, so we appreciate you. As far as the run of show, we will now begin our board evaluation. So I will, each of you have a run of show on your desk. You also have the sheet, like I showed earlier, for your point system, but you do have time to deliberate amongst yourself. And then from there, around 4:15, we will then review your points, and we will hopefully announce the winner by 4:30 and get you guys out.
Okay, so I'm looking at this scorecard. Are we just picking, I thought we were just picking a 1 and a 2?
Correct. So
Each category or
in
just?
each yeah, so for lot 8, do you have one?
I have this one. Oh, okay, I'm sorry, okay, all right, why y'all give me this thing?
All right, so they are color coordinated.
Okay, I see.
Yellow is for lot 8, so you'll pick your top 1, and then the other you'll just put 2, so that it's very clear that your top 1 pick is noted as 1, and your second choice is 2. Lot 9 is color coordinated in blue, and that is between Tax on Track and Serene Beauty Suite. You will choose your top 1, and then the second is 2. So you have time to deliberate, and then we will collect your points.
All right, so you're gonna collect the score sheets now and post those, or we're deliberating first?
You would deliberate and then put your points down, and then we'll collect them.
All right, well, let's see if there are any, so internally, are there any questions, conversation you want to have before doing it? Okay. President Warren, I see you nodding your head.
I'm very conflicted because I am sensitive to the financial challenges that small and minority-owned businesses face as it relates to gaining financing and access to capital. However, when I look at the presentations, there are some really large variances in some cases, and there's a lack of evidence to support the sustainability of the business and the property. So I'm challenged with how we move forward with that when there were 3 of the 4 that did not show the ability to pay the full asking price of the property, not even taking into consideration startup costs for the business and what it would take in order for them to be able to be successful. I appreciate every single presentation, and I look forward to welcoming new entrepreneurs into the community. I also look forward to seeing those entrepreneurs succeed. I want to see them be able to come in and be contributing members of a growing and vibrant community. And I don't see that that has been evidenced by all of those that have presented today. So I have an issue with how we proceed, knowing from the start that there are these financial challenges that have been presented.
Is that a question, or you're just stating that?
I'm stating it. I'm simply
Right,
stating
right,
that
right.
that's how I feel about the presentations that we've reviewed today.
Mr. Roog, can you confirm if there is not a negotiated purchase price or mortgage, they will not occupy the space, right? So no one's going to occupy the space without actually purchasing.
That is correct, Mayor.
Okay. So that returns to my previous statement. We'll enter into, I guess, these discussions, and if to a certain point, if they don't have the wherewithal to purchase it, we'll have a decision to make as to how we proceed. Okay. Commissioner Fox, you had your hand up.
Thank you. I was just going to ask Mr. Roog if he can explain also the process of if a business isn't succeeding, how many years do they have to stay in the space, I guess, in order for them to keep it or sell it before it sort of reverts back to us?
Yes. So the all of the past agreements have a 5-year restriction on them that they have to remain in the structure. And if they fail, then it reverts back to the CRA.
Commissioner Peduzzi?
I'm just trying to figure out how that would happen logistically, how it would revert back once they've paid money for the property. If, let's say, a couple years into it, they're not successful with the business that they've presented here this evening to us, and they're in default of the agreement, how does that revert back to us? What are they given back what they paid? How does that work?
Well, the restrictive covenant and the restrictive and deed restriction are both filed with the county. And then if there is, for whatever reason, an obligation with the bank, we would work it out with them on so that we would get the ownership back in the event that there was some type of liability, financial liability left on the property. We would work it out with the bank.
Because the bank is going to be aware that there is this restrictive covenant in the deed.
Correct.
Question, Commissioner Ward?
I was just going to, because that was a concern that I had, and I had Chris Roog sent me the restrictive covenant on the existing owner that we have in there. And so that's going to pop up on they're going to have to take that lien subject to that restrictive covenant. Now, whether we would have to pay the money that we received for the purchase back to the loan for the real property, whether there's secondary loans and there's some liability that we would have to work out, but that's kind of what we've done with all of these other ones. So it brought back to my mind kind of, I think, a discussion or a thought process that we had in the prior, but I think that's going to be something that we're taking a risk on with any of these in the hopes that they're successful businesses. And 5 years, I know even for like a restaurant if you're not successful in the first couple of years, you're going to know. 5 years, you're usually pretty solid at that point, pending something like a pandemic. But I kind of wish we had more lots to give these. I think all of these I'm having trouble. I think a lot of it when it comes to the proposed uses and what we want to see for traffic purposes and visitors and financials aside, because I do get your point and I appreciate your commentary. These are smaller businesses that need a place, and when you have roots and your owner occupied, it provides so much more leverage for you to operate in a more successful manner versus being a renter forever. But I'm struggling trying to figure out how we vision all of this as almost like a plaza, and where you're placing these specific businesses and how they're going to all operate together, and traffic concerns, parking concerns, all of those things going into it. We've got other restaurants going down the road, and what that looks like. So Chris, we need to get you out there finding more property and getting more opportunities for these starter businesses.
Commissioner Lambert?
Thank you for bringing that up. That was definitely something I was considering as we were listening to each of them, was thinking about the businesses that we've already awarded locations to, and then thinking about the compatibility of one of these two businesses that would come in here to the community and to the neighborhood, as well as their complementary nature to each other. And, you know, we've been talking a lot about hours of operation, foot traffic. So, you know, that's definitely something I've taken into consideration in my decision-making process here. Chris, I have a question related to the technical committee and their scoring. I have that information here. Were presentations given as well, or was it just on the prepared packages?
So the technical review committee, we had that on January 8th. They had the opportunity to ask questions. There weren't technically presentations. They just sat into a room and they reviewed all the proposals, and they had an opportunity to ask questions like you've been able to ask. The presentation was actually the proposal, since that's what they were reviewing, that criteria.
Okay, thank you. Because I definitely hear the concern, and I know that unfortunately with Rohi's Readery, we didn't get a whole lot of time for Q&A beyond the maybe 1.5 questions that we got in there. But that was one that, you know, brought some question about financials. However, they were ranked the highest out of both locations, you know, significantly higher. And so I, you know, do take into consideration that the technical review committee reviewed that as well. And, you know, I think with all of these, that's the one that I've had the most experience with, because we see them already existing in the square and their success record there. So, thank you.
But I share your concerns, President Warren, about just the information that was provided us in some of these proposals on the finances. And it does cause me some pause as well, because yes, we want to see businesses in these locations, but we want to see businesses thrive and succeed in these locations. And it would be nice if we'd had more information that proved the concept of sustainability. So it's yeah, I share your concern. Commissioner Fox.
Thank you. I want to say thank you to everyone who presented today and submitted a proposal. This is my district, so I spend a lot of time in this neighborhood, and I'm really excited that we're going to have these new businesses. I do hope that there is a way that we can find additional spots for the two that are not selected today, because I think you would all bring so much to the neighborhood. Just from my opinion as the district commissioner, it's really important to me that we have a community engagement aspect to the teams that we're selecting today. It's also important to me that we have foot traffic, because I know I've talked to some of the other businesses in the area, and it, you know, they kind of took a chance when they were the first ones in there, that they're, you know, kind of in a neighborhood, a residential neighborhood, not a lot of foot traffic, and they kind of took a chance on it. They're really happy, they're loving it, but, you know, they're also looking forward to some camaraderie and having some sort of synergies that can go forward and have, you know, a little shopping or mall street of its own, you know, that they're, you know, all the businesses can kind of help each other with the foot traffic. And so I look at the choices that we have today. I love the idea of a vegan fine foods. My sister's vegan, and she would love the opportunity, but I have to say, like Rohi's Readery, what the changes that I've seen in the square since we've had Rohi's Readery there, the programs that are available for kids and families from all demographics that are coming to the square, specifically because these programs are there, they're promoted well, they're marketed well, I've seen them outside of the square in other community events, and I feel like they would be exactly what we need in the Historic Northwest to activate the park in ways that we were hoping would happen with the Sunset Lounge team. I think that could completely change the neighborhood, in my opinion, to have Rohi's Readery in there. As to the Tax on Track and Beauty Suite, I have to say, Tax on Track, I've seen Keisha at so many of our community events, and I cannot thank you enough for being so active, but I also am a little nervous about that you mentioned that you have such a great online business, which is amazing, but I want to have more foot traffic. I want to have people that are coming to the neighborhood specifically to be there, and it makes me a little nervous to think that the online business that you are doing is so popular that maybe those people won't really need to come in. So I am leaning also towards the Beauty Suite. Just wanted to let everyone else know my opinions because it is my district, and those are my 2 cents. But thank you so much to everyone who is here today, and I hope that we can find spots for everybody. Thank you.
Any other comments before we fill out our score sheets? Questions? All right, I guess we vote now. You need both of them?
Yes, you can have notes.
Oh, no. I may have notes on mine, in the book.
Mayor, while they're deliberating, can I ask, did we, so in the, once they finalize, when are we going to decide? Are we going to come back in the event that one of them doesn't work out and then at a later meeting decide? Or are we deciding today whether we say, hey, we'll go with the alternative in the event it doesn't work out?
No, I think at the appropriate time. I
Okay,
mean,
so upon it.
We'll
it
cross
not
that bridge when we
working out?
get to it, yeah.
Okay.
Hopefully we don't reach that point.
You'll just check behind me. But I need the other papers. Okay. Sorry, we need some music during this part. All right, as you can see, the lowest number are our winners. For Lot 8, the CRA Board has selected Rohi's Readery, and for Lot 9, the CRA Board has selected Serene Beauty Suite. Thank you all. And that concludes our meeting.
Thank you, everyone, for your interest in this project. We appreciate your interest and presentations. And this meeting is adjourned.